Hello fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the hobby. Concrete Bunker is back with another one of its notorious episodes. On today's episode we continue working on our Stug project, and to be honest with you, this is another video that has nothing to do with the Stug itself. So we are working on a Stug project without the Stug for the moment. Anyway, I took the decision. Some friends of me asked me to do it, and I did some kind of how to brush paint your build. Well, it is a crude how to. I am sure that I will repeat that, redo that onto the future. To be honest with you, I am sure that I'm totally sure that I am gonna redo that on the future. I'm gonna redo that on another kit, so I would integrate everything into there. But anyway, this is a quick how-to. I am painting and weathering a little bit the farmer's cart, and it is ready to be integrated onto the scene. So I don't want to bore you guys much. You already know the drill. Grab a seat, crack the mandatory cold one, and let's see what me and Past George have in stock for this episode. Well, welcome back guys to what it looks like the intro of part 7 for our Stug 3. And as once again, our Stug is not going to be the protagonist of this episode. So I am going to lay down my plan. Well, to be precise, I'm gonna lay down my intentions for this episode, and we're gonna see how it's going to work out, because I have no idea how I am gonna properly film it. I wanna I wanna create the best possible footage for you guys, and to be honest with you, as I've said, I don't know how to film it properly to have that outcome. So anyway, as I've said, I am going to lay down my plan, my intentions for this. So in this episode, I wanna paint and weather this card that we put it together in the previous episode. But I need to do some stuff to it first. I need to sand it a little bit more, because I can see some visible imperfections, and I wanna add a little bit more wood grain. Now, ideally, to add a bit more wood grain, I should have the small razor saw from Tamiya, but I don't have it in my disposal. I will have to search my toolbox to see if I have something similar. The spot that I would like to add more wood grain is the planks that consist the bed of our cart. So what am I going to do right now? As I've said, I am going to search my toolbox to see what I have, to create some more wood grain over here. I am going to sand a couple of imperfections, and I am going to be back to see how I am going to film the painting process of the card without being boring, and with you guys understanding exactly what I do. Anyway, that's my intentions. On the beginning of the video, we're gonna see how everything works out at the end. Okay, since I decided to do it, to do this episode like a tutorial or a how-to on brush painting, at least the way I do it, let's talk about tools. I know you guys have heard me talk about tools and stuff in another episode, but let's do a quick and thorough recap. Um, and let's do it properly this time. So, simple as pie, I already know that there are more fancy tools out there than the ones I am using. I am using the stuff that, and here's my excuse, I am using the stuff that I am using because of two reasons. Mainly through my obsessive compulsive disorder, because I tend to I tend to stick with stuff. I don't know. I tend to grow fond of them, like this, like my pen palette, the old faithful here. But let's talk about him later. Because I tend to grow fond with stuff and tool. And the second one, the reason is because I am kinda cheapskate. I use cheap alternatives because I prefer to use cheap alternatives so I can buy more expensive tools and more paints and more kits, etc., etc. So if I can save money from a cheap alternative that does the job the same, I'm gonna do that. That's the way my mind works. So I'm not gonna talk about paints, as I've said in my previous episode on painting. If I can find in which episode I have done it, I will add that episode in one of the corners or in the description below, so keep an eye about them. About that, I am talking about paints, etc., etc. So grab the paints of the paints that you prefer to work on, the paints that you're most familiar with, and the paints that you trust more. You know how they react. So for me, there's gonna be none other than Vallejo. Not Vallejo, and I cannot pronounce it well. So this is the colors of my choice for base coating the card. Now for the rest of the stuff, I'm gonna use another assortment of paints, more paints, to be honest with you. So these colors are going to be used as a base coat to block the main components of the card: wood and iron. So it's gonna be old or new wood. I cannot remember, and sorry, not that one. And gunmetal gray. So now that we sorted out our paints, we need to move forward. You need a palette. Now here I have the Old Faithful, is the usual palette that you can find in a dollar store or in an arts and crafts store. This guy over here has endured through the years. As you can see, I almost never clean him, and he has been the victim of various experiments. That's why stuff is missing. So in my case, this one, you can also make your own wet palette. I haven't made one so far, so I won't tell you how to do it. There are various videos of how to make your own wet palette on YouTube, or if you're bored, you can also buy one. But if you ask me, don't buy one, make one yourselves. It is dead simple and easy. although I haven't done it yet. Don't ask, I don't know why, but I haven't done it yet. As I've said, I tend to stick with the stuff I use, so I had Old Faithful over here, so I'm sticking with him until he disintegrates, probably. So you need a palette to apply your paints, and don't get me as an example. This should be cleaner, this should be white as it used to be, you know, this color. It used to be. But I am a lazy bum and I never clean him. So we have our paints, our palettes, and let's talk about brushes. So my brushes, there are two kinds of brushes, square ones and round ones, and this one. And I'm gonna talk about this one later. So I usually prefer, for the type of the type of the stuff I am painting, I usually prefer the round tipped ones, because they work better for me, and because you can really get into the details. You know, you can really paint a straight line. You can really do detailed job. Now about the size, I have told you guys again, and number 2, number 1, number 3 are pretty good. They can hold a lot of paint onto their bristles, and they have a nice round edge, which should do the job nicely. Now if you are painting figures, you may need also some smaller sizes of brushes, but I'm not gonna go onto the topic of figures because I'm not so well experienced with them. So for me, round brushes work better than rectangular ones. Although I have some rectangular ones, I mainly use them for buildings and stuff like that when I paint big and even surfaces. So another thing that I want to point out that I have already pointed, let me see if I have something for an example. This is one of my girlfriend's brushes, okay? As you can see, bristles are stiff, stiffer than mine, to be honest with you. This is one of mine, unused one, totally new. Bristles are softer than the one that I grabbed before. Now, brush painting tends to create brush strokes on an even surface, on a surface like this, that it is even. What I have found through experience is that with a softer bristles brush, you can almost eliminate it. Because other factors can play their role onto the brush strokes onto a surface. So one of the factors for me, if you ask me through my experience, is a soft bristled brush. So always keep an eye when you buy brushes. Grab the softer ones for our purpose. Now, synthetic or full hair, I go synthetic, to be honest with you guys. I have never tried natural hair brushes. I know that they are far better if you're doing an artist's work, you know, if you're painting on canvas, etc., etc. But for me, for the stuff I do, synthetics are fine. So I'm gonna leave this to your preference. So we talked about the size, the shape of the brush, how stiff the bristles are. That's all that come to my mind about brushes. So We have our palette, we have our paints, we have our brush. Another two things that okay, I forgot to mention about something about brushes. Let me grab another prime example. You see this one, this guy over here, that has no sharp edge, you know, his edge is not round like this one. This brush is now dead, to be honest with you guys, is now dead if you are painting, if you're using it for paint. I am keeping those guys around for weathering now. They are good for blending oils onto a surface, etc, etc. So if you have a brush and it is like that, either you throw it away or you keep it for weathering purposes. For weathering or cleanups, I also use this brush for cleaning panel liner, sorry. So when a brush becomes like this after a while of use or not proper maintenance, you keep it for weathering. You want your brush to be like like this, well rounded and with a well defined edge, you know, pointy thing over here. This one is a brand new one. That's a prime example of how a brush should look. Now about brush maintenance. Paul's workbench, my friend Paul has done quite a good video talking about brush maintenance and stuff that you can do to maintain your brushes at top shape, you know. So if I can find his video as well, I will leave a link to it in the description below. And if you're not familiar with Paul, guys, please go and check him out. He does wonderful job. He's a new channel. He hasn't uploaded a lot of stuff, but believe me, you will be in for a treat. He has a lot of knowledge to share. Now that I think that I have talked about everything on the brushes topic, let's see what you need. Apart from the paint, you need thinners. You need to thin your paint. You always need to coat your item in 2 or 3 even and thin coat of paints. I'm not talking about watery consistency. I am talking about thin coats. There is a difference between watery consistency and there is a difference between thin coats. Let me give you an example. So, Panzer Aces, Vallejo, kinda thick paint. I mean, it is not as thin as Model Air. So, let me give you an example. Ooh, no. I'm gonna put a drop of color over here. I think that my camera can catch it. I am going to grab my brush, moisture it a bit, give it a bit of moisture with water, and now I am going to remove a lot of water from it. I just want it to be moist. I don't want it to be dry. So you grab your color and you do this. You paint vertical in this case. Now, as you can see, this is one coat of paint. The paint application is thick over here, and the paint layer is thick. Let me see if I can catch it on camera. Okay. If you can see the glare of the color of it, if you can look through the glare, you can see some brush strokes. They're gonna be even, but we don't want that. We don't want a thick coat of paint. We want to be patient. Now I'm gonna grab a little bit of color of water with my brush and apply it over here, and I am going to mix the paint. Now this thing is too watery, if you ask me. It is too thin. Now here is another prime example. Oh my god, I am doing it like a pro. I would never expected that this would work so well. Let me grab a tweezer. And explain you what happened here. This coat over here is kinda watery right now. It is too thin, and you can thin it more, but this one is too thin, and you can see how you can understand that. You can understand that because you can see the pigment moving in one direction, accumulating in one direction. In this case, it accumulated at the bottom of this plank, and you can see it because when the moment that I laid down my brush, paint has moved onto the center. You can see there is a tiny edge over here where the paint has dried. This thing is too thin right now. It will dry kinda even because due to the paint accumulation over here, this is going to leave a mark. It is going to dry kinda even, but this is not the outcome that we want. The outcome that we want is, looks like a second to you guys, it is a week for me, and I returned back to the bed to show you exactly what we want. If I remember correctly, this is the thick paint application, and this is the very thin one. Both of them are dry. You can see. I hope that you can clearly see the difference. Probably my camera won't be able to catch it, but over here we can see some watermarks on the paint. If you don't see them, trust me, they are there. This happened because, as I've said, all the pigment of the paint accumulated at this spot over here, accumulated at the bottom of this piece. Now, what do you need? Since you have seen the thick and the watery and the very thin application, I'm gonna show you the normal one, the one that I am trying to achieve. So once again, let me grab my paint. So we want probably 2 drops of paint for this example, and we also want 1 drop of water. maybe this drop was a lot. Oh, by the way, guys, this is a bottle from a medicine that has a pipette. Keep these guys around, they are handy. After the medicine is out, you can clean it, and you can keep one or two of them on the bench, because pipettes are always useful, if you ask me. So as always, I'm gonna moisture my brush a little bit, and I am going to mix the paint. Now I think that with another drop, no, I think that's okay. Let me see. Here is the way you do it. So, vertical passes, this is a thin color, this is ideally thin. I would like it to be just a tad thinner, but that's okay. And this is the way you applicate it. You do vertical movements, and then when this dries, you do horizontal ones. So now this is going to dry. It has a couple of brush strokes, but believe me, it is going to dry even. This is something that I found out that Vallejo colors can do. Although they look like they have some brush strokes, in some cases they can self-level themselves. It's going to take it a little bit, but it's to take it a little bit to do it in front of camera, of course, but when it's dry, it's gonna be totally even, like in this case. So if you are brush painting, you are looking for that. You are looking for the right paint consistency. You are looking for 2 even coats, and you're looking for 1 coat of vertical and another coat, and the second coat of horizontal strokes. I know that this is not always possible, but in most cases you can do it. Even if you can't do it and you need to move your brush in an unorthodox way, just be sure that you are not messing the paint up. When I say you're not messing the paint up, I mean that make sure that you leave the paint to dry, because as the paint dries and you move and you keep moving your brush on top of it, you keep moving the paint, you keep doing brush strokes, you don't let the color self-level itself. So I'm gonna leave this aside for a moment. Probably through the heat and the humidity we have right now, this will dry quickly, and I am going to paint the planks, this area, because this area is the easiest one. This area is going to be a prime example for you guys to understand how exactly I am doing it. And as you can see, I have dipped my brush in the water once again, because I like to tinker with the paint a little bit more. Gentle strokes. We don't care for good coverage from your first layer of paint. we just need paint to be there. You move slowly, listen to some music if it helps you to relax, and you keep painting. Now you see over here I need a little bit more paint because my brush was hadn't enough paint onto it, so you could see the color being transparent as I move. I hope that you are getting what I am trying to say, what I am trying to explain. See, vertical movements, always vertical, and then second pass is always horizontal. Now over here we need to go horizontal for a moment due to the shape of our card. Always one pass. You don't need to steer the paint. Oh my god, it is so hot here today that the paint is drying onto my palette. And now I made it too watery. Let's add another. Drop of paint. And that's how I do it, guys. I keep it in my hand, I add paint, I add water on the fly as we go, I mix it and I keep painting. After a while you learn how to control the paint consistency. You get used to it. Your eyes, get used to it, to what you need, what kind, the amount of which amount of consistency works for you. You need to do 3 or 4 kits with that way, and after a while you are slowly getting the hang of it. You see, I am always adjusting. I see what my painting is doing as I paint, and I always adjust it. If it is too watery, I just add more paint. If it is too thick, I just add more water. You adjust it on the fly. That's my type of doing things. Now I am gonna leave this to dry, and as you can see, this side is already almost totally dry, and I am going to grab my example part so you can see. Let me clean, and here we have it, guys. That's what I was talking about. See, color self-leveled itself. It has almost no brush strokes, nothing, almost. Yeah, it has one, but that's okay. You can faintly see it. And that's the way you paint stuff. So now I am going to leave my example part aside and I am going to grab our card, because here is another prime example of what I was talking about. Let me grab a pointer. As you can probably see over here, this part, paint is transparent. First coat is we don't want full coverage from the first coat. So this is what we are looking for. We are looking for a good even layer of paint. Even if it is transparent, it is no problem. We can always fix the transparency. We can always fix it by adding more layers of paint. You know, 1 or 2. It depends. You're going to see about that. I think that, yeah, this part, or only this part, is now dry because paint had just a little bit of water there, so it dried faster. And now we do our horizontal. Coat. I am not talking much, guys, excuse me, because I am trying to concentrate. I am trying to do it as best as I can, so I can give you a clear and good example. This is a tutorial after all. I wanna believe that this is a tutorial. And as I am keep working on it, the rest of the sections are drying as well. So I am going to keep painting. Now I will say again that you see me always adjusting my paint onto my palette. This is a thing you need to do if you don't have a wet palette, because onto the wet palette the paint grabs the humidity from the palette that it needs. But onto a dry palette you need to do that. Now you are going to ask me, why do I keep a dry palette around? Because I grew used to it, to be honest with you. Once again, I'll tell that again, I will eventually do the change. No. gentle movements, guys. This is one of the secrets, gentle movements. So now this second layer of paint is going to take a while to dry, so I'm gonna pause the video and be back when the paint is dry. Before I pause the video, I wanna talk about another thing. As you can see, I am working in sections. That's the thing I want you guys to do, but do it in a different way from me. Don't do the exact same thing. I just applied 2 layers of paint over here because I wanted this section to be an example. I usually do what? I am working in sections and I am applying one coat on each section. One coat here, one coat here, one coat here, and whenever everything is coated with one coat, then I start the second coat. I hope that this made sense. Well, this video is full of great examples. So while this was drying, I kept doing work over here at the underneath of our card. This is all one coat, but I am not here to talk about that. I am here to talk about this area. As you can see, it is not yet 100% dried. Sorry, because it has some humidity marks, and you can see the paint is a little bit shiny. But as you can see, as I've said, even after 2 coats, I need to apply a third one. This is always great because I am going to apply a third one. The paint is going to be more even and more rich. So keep an eye about that. Almost if you need to apply a third coat, then do it. It is better to apply more coats than 1 or 2 uneven ones. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is that I forgot to talk about is when you have something with multiple colors, always go with the color that consists the bulk of your build. This is a card, a wooden card. It will of course have some iron pieces, but I will base coat it all in wood color, and then I am going to detail paint the rest of the stuff with iron stuff. But never paint details first. Always block always block with the color that covers the most surface, so you won't need to do any touch-ups, etc., etc. Now I am going to apply another coat of paint over here. I am going to continue working onto the rest of it, and I am going to be back so you guys can see how it is supposed to be looking. Well guys, quick update. Everything onto our card is base coated. The keen-eyed amongst you will will see the difference. In the beginning, to give you guys an example, I have base coated the whole card with new wood, but as I progressed forward, I decided to repaint it with old wood, because this is a farmer's card, and farmer's cards are stuff that are getting used every day, and they are not taken care of. You know, they don't care so much. Farmers don't care so much, and I understand them, because this is a tool, this is not a vehicle. It looks like a vehicle, but it is a tool after all. So I repainted it with old wood to give it to already give that old and tarnished look. I then used gunmetal gray for the metal parts of the cart, as you can see over here, in every bolt, and over here at this stuff. And then I have used steel for the outer edge of the rim, because this is this part will will always be chrome and shiny due to its surface tension, you know, going around and around, will always chip the paint of the thing, and it will always be chrome and shiny. You guys know what I am trying to say over here. So now that everything is base coated and the thing looks like brand new, we are ready for our next step. What's my next step, you may ask? My next step will be to weather the whole thing up. What I am going to start with, simple and easy stuff. I usually do a pin wash with a panel liner, but I'm not gonna use a black panel liner over here. I am going to make my own wash using raw amber and mineral spirits. The amount of color, of oil color to mineral spirits, is 1 part of oil paint and approximately 10 parts of minerals. So we're looking for something really watery. We are aiming for something really watery. I'm gonna mix that off camera. I am going to apply it all over the vehicle, all over the cart, and then I am going to clean it, you know, to remove the wash from whenever I don't want it to be. A quick in between video sections. Don't know why I had the urge to film that, but I am gonna film it since I have that urge. What I wanna say, so as you can see here, I have applied my wash and my pin wash, quote unquote pin wash. This is not a pin wash, to be precise. If it was a pin wash, I would apply it only in nooks and crevices. You know, I would apply it more with a more clean way. As you can see over here, I slapped everything with my raw amber wash, and I kinda did that on purpose. When I build tanks or trucks or whatever, I usually don't follow this method. What I wanna say, I don't follow. Sorry guys. What I wanna say when I say I don't follow this method, I wanna say that I am just doing a pin wash. I am doing it with a cleaner way possible. You know, I am just touching my my brush where I want the wash to be applied. But there are some instances like this one which I want it to look extra weathered and tarnished, as I've said before, that I do a slap coat. That's how I am calling it. Sorry guys, my cats have a different opinion, sorry. So I just grabbed this brush and slapped the wash everywhere. Now I am waiting for it to dry, and it is almost dry. You can see the shiny spots here. When these shiny spots dry completely, they're gonna be matte, like in the edges, and when this is going to be totally dry, I am going to pour some mineral spirits in a jar, and then I am going to start the cleanup. So I just want to show you guys that you can do it this way as well, but it requires a lot of cleanup. And as I've said before, guys, here is the card all clean up and almost ready to go. Here is how it looks. I just used my one of my sacrificial brushes, this one, to be honest with you. I dipped that in mineral spirits and removed them in a piece of paper, and then I just starting to dab in it onto the surface so I could remove most of the wash from the spots I didn't need it. I just kept it onto the corners. I know that this one is a big amount. This one is too dirty, but that's what I wanted to achieve, because as I've said, this is a farmer's card. This is supposed to be not dirty. This is supposed to be tarnished, to be a thing that works almost every day and not taken so much care of. So after that, I have nothing else to do on it at the moment. Of course, and I would dust it a little bit more, use some pigments, and I will add mud over here at the underneath of the card, but this will come when the diorama is ready and when I know exactly where I am going to place it. So for the time being, this is it, guys. I hope that my quote-unquote tutorial on how to brush paint stuff will help you and will give you some hints and tips here and there. I know that it is not ideal. I am not so good in filming tutorials. I am not so good in on passing on my knowledge, but anyway, I hope you guys grabbed a few hints here and there and see how I do it. Mostly, guys, it is a thing of practice. Mostly it is practice to find your way. I am sure that if you keep brush painting your models, you will find a way. You will find your way, and you will grow even better on brush painting. That's at least what I did. I just kept going with it and integrated different hints from here and there, and yet I am not perfect, but I wanna believe that I am good enough. So with all that said and done, we have made it to the end of this episode. On our next episode, we will probably start working on our diorama layout. We're gonna create a crude layout and create a base for it, for our Stug and the card, etc, etc. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and interesting and stick along for the next one. Before I go, I wanna thank each and every one of you guys that watched this video. A special thank you to all my subscribers. You guys are the best, and you are the reason I keep doing these videos. For the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome, guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, take care and model on. It was that Mofo Daemon signing out.